The McMansion is America's ugliest architectural achievement, and we did it to ourselves. These Frankenstein homes mash together every style imaginable. Columns from ancient Greece, a turret from medieval France, and a three-car garage from nowhere good. The average McMansion dedicates a huge chunk of its street-facing facade to garage doors. That's not a home, that's a storage unit with bedrooms. They exploded across suburbs in the 1990s in places like Frisco, Texas, and Loudoun County, Virginia. Developers slapped mismatched details onto massive boxes and charged a premium. The result? Neighborhoods where every house screams for attention but says nothing. Oh, A's love them, though, because nothing says community standards. Like rows of vinyl-clad confusion, the ranch house didn't ruin America on purpose, but it absolutely did. This single-story, spread-out design became the default suburban home after the 1950s, and it's the reason your city sprawls for miles in every direction. Land was cheap, cars were everywhere, and families wanted space, so builders flattened everything and went wide instead of up. Phoenix, Houston, Atlanta, all ranch country. The problem? When every house sits on a huge lot, you need a car to do anything. Grocery store, drive, school, drive. Your neighbor's house 40 feet away, somehow, still drive. The ranch turned America into a nation of commuters, one story of comfort on an ocean of asphalt. Brutalist homes look like someone poured concrete and called it a day, because that's basically what happened. This style emerged in the 1950s and 1960s, taking raw concrete aesthetics from government buildings and shoving them into residential neighborhoods. The idea was honest materials and functional design. The reality? Houses that look like parking garages with windows. You'll find examples across London and Washington, D.C. Brutalism works for a museum. For a home, where you're supposed to feel warm and comfortable, concrete walls and tiny windows aren't exactly welcoming. The style basically said, decoration is dishonest. Cool philosophy. Terrible house. The modern farmhouse is the most popular lie in American real estate right now. White shiplap walls, black metal fixtures, a barn door that slides in front of your bathroom. None of it has anything to do with farming. The style exploded around 2015, fueled by renovation TV shows and Instagram. Now every new subdivision from Nashville to Boise has dozens of these things. They all look identical. Same white exterior, same metal roof accent, same live laugh love energy baked into the architecture itself. Real farmhouses were built with local materials for practical reasons. These are built with imported finishes for resale value. It's not a farmhouse, it's a costume. Postmodern houses were architecture's midlife crisis in the 1970s and 1980s. Architects got bored with clean lines and threw in columns, arches, and bright colors, all at once. The idea was playful irony. The result was visual confusion. Those houses that look like a Greek temple collided with a cartoon, that's postmodern. Portland and parts of New Jersey have some wild examples. The style aged like milk. What felt clever in 1985 now looks like a design school rejection project. Every postmodern home is an identity crisis frozen in stucco and painted purple. Second Empire has one defining feature, that mansard roof, that steep, boxy roofline from 1800s France. And it's the reason every horror movie house looks the way it does. The Addams Family mansion, mansard roof. That creepy Victorian on your street, probably mansard. The style was popular in the 1860s and 1870s across the Northeast. The roof allowed for extra attic space, which sounds practical until you realize the proportions make every house look like it's watching you. Second Empire homes are gorgeous when maintained, but most aren't. And an unmaintained mansard roof house doesn't look abandoned. It looks haunted. The international style. Glass walls, steel frames, zero ornamentation. It works for an office tower in Manhattan. For a house in a residential neighborhood, it's a glass box that erases the street's identity. No connection to local materials, climate, or culture. A house in this style in Chicago looks identical to one in Sydney. That's not design. That's copy-paste with a bigger budget. Your neighbors have brick colonials and craftsman bungalows, and then there's a corporate headquarters on a residential lot. The international style forgot that homes are supposed to belong somewhere. Hollywood Regency is what happens when money has no taste. Mirrored surfaces, glossy lacquer, dramatic everything. It peaked in the 1930s among Los Angeles celebrities who wanted homes that felt like movie sets. And that's exactly the problem. You're not living in a home, you're living on a stage. The interiors are impractical, the maintenance is endless, and the aesthetic screams "look at me" louder than any architecture should. A few examples still sit in Beverly Hills, preserved like time capsules of glamorous excess. Beautiful to photograph, exhausting to inhabit. Streamline Moderne took the Art Deco obsession with speed and applied it to houses. Rounded corners, horizontal lines, porthole windows. Your home looks like an ocean liner that ran aground in a suburb. The style appeared in the 1930s, when designers wanted buildings to feel optimistic and forward-moving. A few examples survive in Miami Beach, charming as historical curiosities. But imagine building one today. Your house looks like it's trying to achieve liftoff. Residential architecture should feel grounded, literally and figuratively. Stick style was the Victorian era's laziest experiment. Builders took wooden boards and slapped them onto exterior walls in decorative patterns. That's it. That's the whole style. Vertical boards here, diagonal boards there, maybe some crossed sticks under the gables. It emerged in the 1860s between Gothic revival and the fancier Queen Anne. But while Queen Anne went all out with turrets and towers, stick style just stuck things on walls. A few examples survive in resort towns like Cape May, New Jersey. They're quaint. But quaint is just a polite word for we didn't try very hard. The split level is America's most confusing residential design. You walk in the front door and immediately face a choice. Stairs going up, stairs going down. Welcome to your new cardio routine. Popular in the 1950s and 1960s as a compromise between ranches and two-story colonials, builders on sloped lots save money by staggering floors instead of leveling the land. The result is a house where no floor connects properly to any other floor. Your bedroom is half a flight up, the family room is half a flight down, and the garage is somewhere in between. Moving furniture is an engineering challenge. Living in one means climbing stairs 40 times a day to get a glass of water. The Snout House puts a garage door where your front door should be. The garage juts out toward the street, and the actual entrance hides behind it. Your home's face is literally a car storage unit. This design dominated suburbs from the 1990s onward, especially in Portland, Oregon, where backlash led to anti-Snout House zoning laws. The problem isn't just aesthetics. Snout Houses eliminate the relationship between home and street. No porch, no visible front door, no connection to the neighborhood, just a garage staring at you like a blank expression. Portland banned them in 2000, requiring that no garage take up more than half the front wall, because a city had to legislate that homes should look like homes. The raised ranch takes everything wrong with the ranch and adds a confusing basement situation. You enter at a mid-level landing, then choose between going up to the living area or down to a partially underground basement. Popular in the 1960s and 1970s across the Northeast and Midwest. Builders liked it for extra space without two-story costs. Buyers got a house that can't decide what floor you're on. The basement is half underground with those small rectangular windows that let in just enough light to remind you sunlight exists. Somewhere. Resale value on raised ranches consistently lags behind comparable homes. Tract housing is the original sin of American suburbia. William Levitt perfected the formula in 1947 with Levittown, New York. Build one house design, copy it thousands of times. Sell them fast, assembly line housing at its finest, and terribly designed at its worst. Streets of identical homes stretching to the horizon. No variation, no character, no identity. You could walk into the wrong house and not realize it until you checked the family photos. Levittown's model spread nationwide. Developments from California to Florida followed the same playbook. Tract housing solved a housing crisis but created an identity crisis. When your home is indistinguishable from thousands of others, is it really yours? Mediterranean revival slaps terracotta roof tiles and stucco walls onto houses in places that have nothing to do with the Mediterranean. The style makes sense in coastal Spain or southern Italy. It makes zero sense in suburban Dallas, where summers hit 105 degrees and the nearest coastline is 300 miles away. Developers loved it because it looked upscale and cost almost nothing to build. Stucco the exterior, add arched windows, throw on a tile roof, and charge 20% more. These homes dominate subdivisions across Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Inside, standard American floor plan. The Mediterranean part is purely decorative. It's architectural cosplay. Your house is pretending to be in Tuscany while sitting on a former cattle ranch next to a Walmart. Like and subscribe if your neighborhood has at least 3 of these. See you in the next one.